Welcome to the real world. Whoa! Mortgage your house and buy Bitcoin with breathe air. There's no second best, okay?
GM, breathe air, Friday, 18th of October. So, today, going to take a look at some of the data. I've set up CoinAlyze here to look at some of the different moves we've seen. So, we had an impulse move on Monday. We had an impulse move, not really an impulse, but we had a trend up on Friday. And in both of those periods, we saw increases of open interest, which have stayed. So positions were built, and those positions remain open as of right now. What we see below is the CVD for futures. So where's my text box? Here we go. Futures, CVD, so perpetual futures. And I've narrowed it down to the main exchanges, to Binance, Coinbase, Binance, Bybit, and OKX for futures, and then for spot CVD is Binance, Bybit, and Coinbase. And below at the bottom we have the open interest for alts. So Bitcoin, top three panes are all Bitcoin. The bottom was just to look at alts. Bitcoin's moved Friday. We also saw alts accumulation. Bitcoin's moved Monday. We also saw alts rising. Since then, altcoin open interest has dropped off, which is good to see. At least it's not continuing to outpace BTC's. BTC's open interest remains high, and having round-tripped yesterday's move up, so the move up of open interest into that high got flushed out, or for Wednesday, which is good. Now, once again, we're moving back towards the highs, but positions are building, so there's front-running happening again, anticipation of a breakout again. This move, as you can see quite clearly, this move has been followed by futures almost exactly. So Binance is yellow, OKX is red, and Bybit is orange in these CVD lines. So Friday, moving up, pushed by aggressive perpetual futures buying. So the perps moved this market. The only one buying on spot was Binance, which is significant. Binance is the biggest. But Binance spot CVD was positive there too. Coinbase, which is blue, and Bybit, which is orange, were both flat in that push. And then all the way through, you've seen Bybit with a consistently negative CVD. So it's been spot market selling on Bybit. And we've seen spot market selling on Coinbase since Monday. So the second push, again driven by perps, again driven by Binance spot. And again, Bybit slightly positive and Coinbase slightly positive. But since then, Coinbase went into selling mode. Binance went into selling mode a little bit later. Binance continued to push the market into that high. And it seems like that's where distribution would typically begin. Futures have continued to push, and futures are continuing to hold this market up. And the pushes are coming from futures, with interspersed with some small pushes on Binance from CVD perspective. But looking at it here, since we reached this peak, this looks like, and again, this is typical. This is not what it has to be. So when you have a bearish signal and it gets invalidated, that's really bullish. So if you have a bearish head and shoulders and price breaks back above the right shoulder after trying to break down, that's really bullish. If you've got a bear flag and it breaks down and then it goes back up and breaks structure bullishly, that's bullish. If you have bearish divergences, which is what these would be, in theory, you have futures pushing the market up, you have spot selling, that would be a divergence. If you have a bearish divergence and price does not respect that, price continues to go higher, that's a good thing. That is a invalidation of the bearish signal, is a bullish signal. So the talk about spot selling, don't forget, I did a weekend workshop a few weeks back, so go back and check your notes about CVDs and about open interest and everything. CVD only deals with market orders, so you can have endless selling at the market, but if price doesn't go down, it means there's absorption. It's market order, limit order. That's how market works. You can have a market order which fills a limit order. You have a limit order that sits on the books and it has to be matched with a market order. CVD only deals with market orders. So why would there be so much spot selling and yet price has not gone down? The logical answer is because there is spot demand. So on the order books, the limit order, the passive side, are buying. And when you see this selling from Coinbase and this selling from Binance and yet price doesn't go down as much, it means there are orders. There's bids coming in and people are buying it. So spot bid seems strong from a limit order perspective. The spot CVD is definitely a red flag if, and only if, price breaks and price gives a signal of weakness. And so do we have one really? No. On a very low time frame, you saw this low that led to the highest point breaking, but then price held at it. We've moved back up. Now it hasn't taken the highs, and if you start to see this reversing, if it breaks below here, and then it breaks below here, this, if you get those two breaks, a BOS here on the 1 hour, followed by a BOS here, that is where very, very, very likely the spot selling is now on the right side, and the perps that have been holding it up are wrong, and we're probably going to have to see an unwind. And that's where you might see an unwind of some of this positioning, which is $3 billion, 18 to basically 21. So $3 billion net of position build up, plus all the stuff going on over in the CME. I mentioned the CME open interest is way up as well. That would have to unwind. But until then, yes, futures are pushing the market, and yes, spot is not. But that does not have to be a negative. Again, price is number one. And if you see price trying to, even like just take this Binance push down here from this peak down into that low. That was a 2.8 thousand. So in terms of relatively, that is a strong downwards move. 2,800 net BTC sold from a level of, where's the Binance one? Yeah, from a level of being minus 3.9. So from being minus 1.7 to minus 3.9. So a significant decrease in the net cumulative delta for Binance. And yet at the same time, price did not go down much. Price sort of slowly stepped down, stepped down, stepped down. That tells you that as all that selling's happening, somebody's on the other side buying it. So bullish if we continue, of course. Until then, you're looking at either it breaks here, which would be sign of a pullback, or it's going to take the highs. From there, it all matters about the price action. What kind of breakout do we get? Impulsive with continuation? Do we see a real acceleration in open interest in BTC? Do we see chasing in alts? Do we see altcoins going crazy over the weekend? Because we're now on Friday. Keep an eye on all of that. But that's about it. There's not a whole lot to say or do. I mentioned it last night, market's quiet. Check out the altcoin request stream. Went for 2.5 hours, covered 1 million alts, and talked a lot about Bitcoin and about the market. Yesterday's daily levels was a long one. Talked a lot about the market. And even this morning's daily levels was quite long. So covered as much as I can cover. And really now you just sit back and wait for something significant to happen again. That's something that I would really encourage, because definitely a mistake I made when I was starting out was to overanalyze things, right? When the market is quiet and when the market is just consolidating, there's not much point overanalyzing anything until a level breaks, because open interest is just fuel. It doesn't tell you where the market's going. It says if it breaks above or breaks below, there's more chance we see a big move if there's a big buildup of open interest. If the market breaks below 67, there's a good chance that we could see a deeper correction, because spot has been selling into this and futures have been buying. So if spot's on the right side, we could see a deeper pullback. If we break out above 69 or 68.5, you could see an impulsive candle or a false breakout. But until one of those things happen, you really just sit back, be patient, and bide your time. These areas where Bitcoin has moved up and it hangs around, a lot of times what it will do is it will, because patience is it's in such short supply for crypto traders, crypto investors, is that Bitcoin's hanging around here and you're thinking, oh my God, like this could be it, this could be it, this could be it. But you're not really interested in Bitcoin because most people think that Bitcoin's too big and it doesn't move enough. So that's why it's really important to watch alts. If Bitcoin hangs around at the highs but not breaking out, and people start to run into alts because they're like, well, this is it, I got to get positioned, they're getting themselves positioned in really bad places. And it doesn't mean that, if you look at Total 3 as your proxy for that, it doesn't mean that Total 3 is in bad shape. It doesn't mean that Total 3 is bearish. Total 3, in fact, has flipped the bands back. So it's back to bullish daily bands. Now, not a bullish trend, but it's above them and they're crossing. It's off the lows. It's had a very obvious inverse head and shoulders at the lows. It seems to put in something that could be a higher low. I'm not convinced on that myself personally. But you see this kind of move happening. It is resistance. That's also resistance. And what can happen is, because everything's hanging around for a while, it's like, well, you start to think, well, if it was bearish, we would have broke down by now. And then people just, they buy and they buy and they buy, and then the pullback comes. And it only has to be a pullback to there, like just back to support. And it's this, and so, wait, let me zoom it all out, right? The point of all this is that right now, today, let's say it hangs around for another week, and it goes up a bit, and up a bit, and then down to here. And then up, and up, and up, and away it goes, right? Because it's today, Friday 18th, the temptation is to try and convince yourself that somehow this is a good place to enter. That's when you then have to ask yourself, good place to enter in what context? Good place to enter for a day trade long? Maybe. Some of these coins are going to take their highs out today. Good place to enter for a 2-week hold? Well, if that happens, no. 2 weeks later, we're probably going to be there if this path plays out. Good place to enter for a 6-month hold or a 3-month hold? Probably, yeah. You might have to eat some drawdown, and then later on it's higher. It's all dependent on your time frame. And it's a lack of clear planning with time frames that fucks people up in bull markets. You can confuse a pump intraday for a bigger move. You can confuse a pullback here in a 1-week period for a bearish pullback when it's not really. It's just a pullback that leads to 6 weeks later, we're way higher. So always having that frame of reference is very important. And that's why when it's hanging around like it was here, like when it broke out there on the 25th, and it was here, same thing, like, I need to buy, I have to buy, right? I should get in, I need to get in. And you get in, has a flush back, comes back up, isn't even back there yet, and that was 27th September, we're nearly a month on. If you zoom out into December, we're probably way above that. So buying there, holding till December, you're probably ahead. But buying there in FOMO, watching it drop immediately, having to get chopped through all this shit, is not good. So you have to make sure that your time frames are very clear, and that you are, if you're day trading, you're day trading, if you're swing, you're swing, if you're position, you're position. You have to have plans for these things. And a big part of this now is, I think everything goes higher, maybe very soon, maybe in a few weeks. If you're positioning for, and this is where you don't overanalyze, like if you're zooming out right now and you're saying, okay, I think that until January, the conditions are good, maybe later, but let's just say October, what's left of it, November, December, and January are probably good. So that's 3 months. Then if you're positioning yourself for a 3-month hold, you want to hold coins, you're looking at alts, you've got some Bitcoin, whatever. No leverage, just spot. Then be okay with not being perfect on the timing. Be okay with a 2-week pullback. Because if you have a 12-week trade, 2 weeks of it are a pullback at the start, and then there's 10 weeks of pretty much up only, you're fine. But understand that that's what people try to do all the time, and they tell themselves, it's okay, I don't mind 2-week pullback here because I'm going to keep holding it, and then it pulls back, and then they sell, right? Same again here. Because if you were trying to say, well, I don't mind holding it for 12 weeks, well, we're already 8 weeks into that, and you're at break even. So you're questioning it. Your timing was terrible. Because now you're 8 weeks into what was supposed to be an uptrend, and there is no uptrend. So, project it, be patient with it if your hold is longer than a few weeks. don't expect it to be the absolute bottom tick when you buy. Expect some drawdown. Have your invalidation, right? It's fine to say, okay, look, I'm going to buy at this area here. I'm aware it might drop back to this level. It's not going to go here. If it does go there, I'm wrong and I'm out. And if it goes straight up, excellent, I'm positioned. If it goes up and chops back, fine. And if it has a deeper correction, fine. Have your plans. GN.